Yeah, definitely. Triad has a good point there, man. It is. Yesterday was a pretty good day, but also pretty brutal if, you came in a little too hot, a little too aggressive. And I definitely fell victim of that. So today, as you mentioned, patience, right? I think longevity, also a good word to go with that. We have to pace ourselves and not get wiped out in the first few minutes. I think that'll be very, very important here today. Because I even saw yesterday around, I think it was 2 p.m., we had a penny stock that went from 20 cents perhaps up to about 135. So, if you're not hitting your max loss and you're able to stick around, those type of stocks like that can very drastically change your day. And you can still survive and actually thrive actually, into the later hours. So that's going to be a big part of today's longevity, starting off slow, not being super aggressive, and pacing ourselves. So for those people tuning in on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up. Check out the disclaimer. Remember that day trading is risky business. Day trading is risky. So start off slow if you're new, especially if you're new and you're watching on for the first time. Maybe it's your first week watching the channel. Remember to take it slow, utilize small size, practice in simulators. Remember that copy trading does not work here on the channel. We do not encourage anyone to ever try and copy trade. By the way, I can turn up my mic a little bit, but I think it should be fine. Just a quick side note there. But yeah, you know, yesterday for me being a max loss day on such a hot day was frustrating. So today we're looking to make adjustments and be a little bit better. Also, if you guys can recall, the backside was brutal. The backside was unbelievably tough. So I'm even thinking today to not even trade any dips. I know that's pretty tough to say. Like, hey, don't trade like, any dips. But if we're seeing bigger red candles, I think for me, I want to wait until we start climbing again before jumping in because, yesterday I thought initially smaller size, scale into the pullback, give it a lot more range. That way we do a much better job of capturing the low, and it still got blazed pretty bad, so even 1700 loss in one trade. So uh, I think that's going to be a pretty big adjustment. So, coming into pre-market today, we got HCWB and a couple other stocks, LOBO, and a few others. So, we'll see how we're able to do here coming into the open. We got some people saying Ross is up 80K. Yeah, man. Yesterday, so I heard that he was out of the office yesterday. We know for a guy like that, man, if he was able to trade that other stock, I think KDLY, something like that. If he got his hands on that one, we know, for sure maybe like a quarter million because he has that type of power, man, that type of skill, right? Yeah, so coming into the open is gonna be interesting here. I think HCWB for me, I want to keep an eye on this one. The others are a little cheaper, so we'll look through the watch list here. I'll write it up and we'll get going. HCWB. There's also LOBO for those of you guys checking out the scans, or if you haven't already. There's CNSP. Some people might be interested in INHD, which was continuation from yesterday, but it sold off and it bounced up a little bit. Perhaps we could see more of a climb. So we had lows of 221. Right now we're 365. Perhaps we could see $5, which would be the pre-market highs today, but it's not going to be the first stock I keep an eye on. But some people might be interested in it, so I'm just kind of mentioning it there. Other than that, I believe LICN, one of these, we have a buyout. Okay, LICN, more so continuation and after hours. And then I believe LESA is the buyout. So LICN, I'll add to the list here as well. And I think that'll do it. I don't want to have too many stocks. Even INHD we could leave off, but we'll just add it just in case someone out there is interested. Yeah, today is all about longevity and surviving till we thrive, being patient. Yesterday after the strong move, I thought we were gonna see some action right away, so it just came in a little too hot, a little too aggressive. Let's add this to the alert section. There it is. Yeah, so coming back, HCWB, we had a nice breakout there just now over 11, what's that, 1158. I think the key for this one will be how well can we hold up over this level coming into the open. That could be, we could see the opening surge here. um However, we do have 12 minutes, which is a lot of time, so it might break the pre-market high before the open here. Yeah, in fact, there we go. So there's 1340. We'll see if it holds up here. 1360. I'd say we can see 14 here. Definitely has a bit of a range to it. And there's a small spread. But can we see over 14? So this one looks good, but we're kind of seeing the setup here play out before the open. We'll have to see if it ends up getting and holding up above the pre-market highs. Let me bring down my volume here. And there we go. I got the day trade dash scanners on the left, as well as Zendu free scanners from YouTube. So I got to bring down the volume just a little bit. I'll shout out the stream here. So in terms of trend lines, on the daily chart, we have 1925 for the 200 EMA on HCWB. That's exactly where I would expect us to go if this stock happens to be super strong. So we're at 14 now. If we get up, we're kind of close. If we get up there, can we see over 20 eventually? That would be nice. But for now, just kind of waiting for the open. I'm going to get some trend lines on LOBO and CNSP. Those are my top three here. So quickly for LOBO. By the way, percentage wise, we have HCWB up 150%, 9 million shares of volume. LOBO, this one also looking pretty good. We got 156% move and 53 million shares of volume. A little cheaper in price and more volume here. Lows, so highs 355, lows of the pullback here. The extreme lows have been 150. However, our last consolidation, we had a high point of 96 or so, low of 75. And we did break out, but we're now pulling back into that level. And so, can we hold up, 90s and then retake the VWAP here eventually after the open? So, break of 17 and then over 24. If we can do that, then it becomes a little bit more likely to see a retest of the pre-market highs. We'd love to see that within the first hour or two. It doesn't have to be the first minute, first 10 minutes, but within the first hour or two. 579 on the daily chart stands out. $5.79 on the daily chart stands out. So I'm going to mark out that level. It'll definitely be a good target. On that goes back to March 21st. Not the most volume, but we did gap up, sold off there on that particular day. We're above the 200 EMA, which is at 69. So far so good. And then for CNSP here, CNSP. This one's up 100%. and there's 52 million shares of volume. So, I think we've had the question a few days ago, which was, are we in a hot market? Are we seeing a hotter market? I think we definitely are. And this is one of the blessings of small caps, right? Even when the overall market was pulling back, we did have some slower days, but for the most part, there were still opportunities every day. After studying up over this weekend, it was a good reminder that and for any one of us here, for any one of us who are setting foot into this space, as long as we remain disciplined and we keep putting into work, there's a chance that every single day you can walk away with big green, right? And so for myself, not being as consistent as I would like so far this year, it's a good encouragement, right? Good reminder to stay disciplined, stay grounded, keep working on the things that's gotten us to this point, right? Because, and we see it here in our community, right? Every day, almost every single day this year, there's enough opportunity to be up thousands of dollars, right? So we got to keep making adjustments, keep improving, because it's insane the opportunities that we have in this space. Whether it's pre-market, the open, after hours, there's some people who are trading all three, right? Every single day. So I'm definitely looking forward to pacing myself today, being a little bit more slow, in the sense of like size, and not coming out super guns blazing like yesterday. So I'm gonna start up my OBS here, and I'm gonna make sure my screen recording is turned on. CNSP on the daily chart. Let's take a quick look. Doesn't look bad. The last time we had some action was back on March 19th or so, but not a lot of volume. But we did curl up a little bit. 460 stands out for a bit of a candlestick there. And other than that, I'd say a room up to $8. Yeah, so 460 and then $8. Big levels that's standing out for this one on the daily chart. And for me, these levels are places where, there's some gap to fill, and then obvious candlesticks that short sellers could potentially try to short against. So if we happen to see resistance right where I have the trend line, it's not coincidence. I need to just ease off and wait, right? So coming back over to HCWB, and again, we're kind of having to move here before the open. So this one here might have left the station. The train might have left the station here. We're already up to 1620. Yeah, the setup did look good. The setup did look good. We got 4 minutes to the opening bell. Something that I do want to keep in my mind as I'm trading, towards the lows, right? Once we've bottomed out, I don't want to try to get the bottom, right? That's what I want to avoid today. Like, stock is midway flushing. It's just ridiculous how what was working super well isn't working as well right now. So I think the adjustment again is to just leave those alone, because the indicators that we use, it's just not aligning as well these days. So avoiding the flush outs in terms of trying to guess the bottom, trying to jump in as the bottom, as we're flushing down, we're leaving those trades alone. However, when the stock does base out and our candlesticks are indicating that we will curl back up, you guys will hear me sometimes say, hey, this looks pretty good here to curl back up. In those areas, we got to be disciplined and hold through for the move, right? We got a nice entry. Let's not just take the 5, 10, 15 cent profit, but instead look for the move, how we expect it to happen. I always want to keep in mind my profit target, my stop loss. and understand my risk in a trade. And any trade that doesn't make sense is a trade that we do not want to take part in, especially when the risk is a little too high. I want to pay attention for the slight hesitations below the high of day levels. That can be sometimes a good indication for the next push. So if we are seeing that with excessive volume, I want to be in the stock immediately for the big push. If we're seeing the situations where we can add, I want to make sure that I add very quickly, as in like, hey, I'm in my base position. The stock looks like it's getting ready to go. I want to be sure to, there's a 2 minute warning. I want to be quick to add. So let's just say there's a breakout at like 5 and I'm in at like 85 and we're starting to see the move. I want to make sure I hit the buy button very, very quickly and not get higher fills, because that's something that did happen to me here as I'm seeing throughout some of the recordings. Other than that, um, we don't want to hold anything against our cost basis. Uh, Again, if we're in this, if we're in a good pullback and we're in very close to support, we're holding to our support there. But in terms of any wider trades, for example, yesterday, where we're looking to give it a bigger range, not taking any of those setups today, just letting those go. And we do want to keep in mind when we do get up to 1K to ease off, try to build a cushion again, risk that cushion, and not be too aggressive. In terms of any red start, again, small size to help us in that side of things. That way we're not risking too much right away. Longevity is the key. We do not want to hit max loss and be forced to stop on the day where we can see stocks throughout the afternoon. I do also plan to trade till 12 p.m. on the live stream. So let's get dialed in. 30 seconds. Have to grab a water there. All right, I feel pretty good. Let's rock and roll. We got a dollar share range here so far. Over 80, only seeing 95. The pre-market high is 1666. The halt down's at 96. Watch out right here in case we halt down. There is a spread here about 30 cents to keep in mind. Okay, watching to see if anything else is pushing up. There's a couple different ones hitting scans. High of the current candle is 86. Lows are at 71, so about a dollar share range in the current 1 minute candle. I did get filled above the ask price right there, so watch out for that. Again, the spread is pretty wide. LOBO halted up. It is a little risky because of the range here. 41 is the halt up. Showing a good bounce, but right back down. So again, we gotta avoid those bigger flushes. LOBO is halted up. Good red to green here on the 1 minute, but immediately rejecting for the flush out. We got CNSP curling up. CNSP could be interesting over 50, 55. CNSP from 55 to 65. LOBO is halted up. 2 minutes to go on that one. Watch to see if we could get some resistance there, but at 55, but it pushed through up to 65 instantly. Not in there, so just waiting. Pre-market highs here at 37. The key here is for us not to Christmas tree here. It's a VWAP pullback. It seems fairly healthy. We'll adjust our size here a little bit. Time. Highs are at 79. Does it have what it takes to push through? Oh my goodness. Come on. What's up with these pullbacks? That was kind of brutal. 78, 79, which was the previous high, was holding for a couple seconds there. And then 40 on the bids. LOBO has 30 seconds to resumption here. 18 seconds. We got 10 seconds. LOBO 215. Not really a big dip. We dipped about 5 cents perhaps out of the halt. But it's pushed up to 30. It's halted up again. CNSP disappointing. Disappointing for CNSP. We had a nice move going and stock just sold off. So again, we got to be careful with sides early. I mean, the break of 80 was an aggressive trade, but the dip from 55 pushed up nicely. You'd think perhaps a test of 3. We did see about 89. Did we? Yeah, I think we got about 89, maybe 90. Yeah, we got to 90. From there, can we hold up above that 70 area, that 75, 80 area? Stock is back down, halting down. So again, be careful about the bigger size early. Be careful about bigger size early. INHD again, not much on this one. Again, I think it's all about longevity, just taking it slow here early and then waiting for stocks to come around. CNSP offering. Yeah, yeah, because from 80 with that move that we had going there from 80 down to 40 like instantly, it was kind of tough. Even yeah, we don't really see that type of flush out, especially after a strong push to the highs where we're like holding above the highs. I think for me, I'm just gonna watch LOBO. I mean, right now this one seems like it's the obvious one, so I'm just gonna pay attention here and try to build a day slowly. We got a minute 50 seconds to resumption. What's crazy is that people have time to. Oh, let me not even say anything. I'm watching at the Discord here. I'd say for all of us, let's make sure to lock in so that we can see some gains ourselves. We got a minute 10 seconds to resumption. 50 seconds. 50 seconds. Looks like we have some gap to fill here, so how far will we go before the first pullback? That's where I want to ease off. The moment we're starting to get that first massive pullback, I want to be careful not to be still getting involved. Sidelines, let this thing base out, and then get back involved for me. For those of you who are doing well on the dips, then you guys can have your fun, but I will be on the sidelines. So here we go. 230, watching for the continued push. Well, it's an early pullback here. Bro, come on with these stocks. The dip and rip, not bouncing there out of the second halt. As you guys can recall, the third halt is where we usually want to be extremely careful. This would be the second resumption here. Second resumption, having a hard time. Yeah, I think most of us will be stuck that try to take the dip there at 31. It did look good, Steve. I'd say it looked pretty good, man. But you know, if you get caught, you got caught. HCWB is resuming. That one though at the lows right now, so we'll probably see some consolidation, maybe a new low. Yeah. Trying 1160 for a bounce. Tight stop. It's a scratch trade. So again, similar to yesterday here, coming into the open, we're seeing a lot of selling pressure. So again, I think keeping to that smaller size is the way to go for now. It might take us a good 30 minutes, maybe even the first full hour before we start seeing some good bounce opportunities. Um, LOBO is 2 minutes 57 seconds, and we're seeing 220s. So or actually $2. That's gonna be pretty rough. $2 resumption here. ICCT, taking a look at that one. Yeah, ICCT halting up 54. For LOBO, I'd like to see an immediate bounce. If it doesn't, curl up within the first minute out of the halt down, it might be a longer consolidation or sell or full Christmas tree. Because $2 resumption is pretty brutal here. We had highs at 40, we're halted down 24. So to resume at 2 is, straight Christmas tree here to the downside. Also, the moves are so fast, like, it's a little tough to get back out right away. It's like instantly showing the new low. We got 40 seconds or so to resumption. It's a 10-minute halt for LOBO. ICCT has a minute 53 seconds. It's up 74%. There's almost 4 million shares of volume for ICCT. It's a stock we've traded before. We'll see how it does. Big Steve, not looking for the inch to sell. Yeah, I'd like to think we should see a bounce, but I think for me, I'll realize the loss and kind of see what it does from there. But I think not a bad trade idea there for the Big Steve. We got ICCT coming up in 25 seconds. Five seconds, ICCT. In at 80, looking for the sell up at 97 or so. Not It's back down, not the best fills. I want to make sure the dip is holding up. Waiting, watching, waiting. 'Here's the resumption for LOBO coming up. 20 seconds. 12 seconds. Here it is. 5, 4. Here we go. Yeah, this is gonna be a brutal one, man. All right, switching over to ICCT. Bit of a churn 30. Can we push through? It's just going 61 to halt up. And this is where I want to be extremely careful. It didn't get halted up, so I want to watch out here. Watching to see if we can curl back up. Seems kind of heavy that we're getting like a seller here or something. No quick spring, waiting again. Smaller size on a dip. It's pretty aggressive. We're still fairly high up, so I again want to still be careful here. Man, HCWB, but I'm missing that one. It's all good. Can't trade everything. Looking for that boost. Again, I want to be careful because we're still pretty high up just in case it ends up breaking down for that bigger flush out. Want to avoid that at all cost. Ooh. Just pretty quick on the push back up. False breakout. I think if this one sells off, it's right back to HCWB. So it did hold, okay. There's a minute 50 seconds to that resumption. But can we push through the sellers? Okay. Can we see over 6, over 4? Oh, struggling. We're seeing like some sellers sprinkled. A few hidden sellers perhaps as well. All right, HCWB. We got 20 seconds to HCWB. Halted up at 14.18. Here we go. 14.18. Good fill on the dip. It's a nice trade. Taking 30 again. Holding for the bigger move over 15. Not quite over 15.50. So coming back to ICCT. Stock seems to be holding up very nicely at 30 here. All right, I'm gonna watch ICCT and just wait patiently. How well can we bounce here? I got filled fairly high actually too. Not the best fill. It's a good trade nevertheless. There's still a lot of buying, surprisingly. Okay. We have sellers coming in. I missed that. So there's a few sellers there coming in at 30 on the ask. Hmm. It's interesting. It's still fighting. I could have gotten that trade there. I kind of overlooked the ask price. This one is an interesting one. A bit of a double bottom there. Time 50. HCWB halted down. Still haven't really used any size yet today. Again, just taking it easy, taking it slow. And the goal is to stick around much longer and wait for the other stocks that come later in the day. MOGO is one I have to check out, see if it looks good. I'm wondering if this one is nearing the end. It's still giving bottoming wicks here, which is good though. The new 5 minute candle is about 2 minutes out. It's still getting good support there, surprisingly. Can we see over 50? Not quite. I'm surprised as to how well it's holding up still. Bro, that bid filled like nothing, man. Jeez Louise. A 90,000 share filled in like a second. So we got to see like a 300K buyer for it to even hold a sec. Ay, ay, ay. If we break, will we hold is the key. It could be a place to size, being that that initial reclaim was a little slower to play out. Damn. Can we hold? Bro, like the movements are insane. These stocks are okay. All right. Come on. Bit of a paper hand there. Not good. Really having a hard time over 85. Come on. Only 54 right there. I wonder if I got the fill or if I got the fill low. I can't tell. Okay, I got the fill. Sold 57. All right, it's making new lows. Looks like it's a pullback into the previous area. HCWB has been a little choppy, but you know, pushed up, halted down. Mm, it didn't sell off all the way. Can we see the retest? Oh, can we see the retest? I'd say over again should be good, but will we see it? Bro, my fills are like just. I'm gonna wait though. We should go. Should. Can rip through. Bro, I'm selling over the level and I'm selling flat. Like just stuff that just. Oh man. I'm selling over four and I'm getting flat trades. Bro. Hmm. The stock is a little kind of hard to put a word around it. It is quick too. It's quick, so you gotta be fast. I will take that, but my fills are horrendous. I think as long as it holds up, we should be good, unless it decides to fail here, which I don't see why it would. Diamond hands with discipline here. Diamond hands. We might have a hidden seller at 4. It's probably just gonna teleport. It's this you know, it's the way how this thing moves, man. Mm. High or low? Looking to be patient, looking to be quick. Oh, and that held. That looked pretty dangerous though, but that held. Ooh, man. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. That almost broke down, but it held up. Tight stops. And of course, this time it's gonna flush through. We've broken down below the previous highs. Of course, of course. The one where I'm selling quickly, where I think it'll come down, it holds, and then the other one it's down. Come on. So it's a quick slingshot. Oh, this stock, man. Just I'm trying to avoid those bigger flushes down. So not looking to just keep buying the lows. It's back up. Let's see how well we hold here. There's the VWAP. Is there anything else here? Lows at 40. We'll see how it plays out. Candle's about to close here in 5 seconds. I'm getting a bit of a 5 minute pullback off the highs. LOBO is moving up a little bit. I don't know. This might sell off here. It's looking kind of depsy. Unless it reclaims, that's the only thing I'm really interested in here. It's looking kind of rough. Switching over to MOGO. Checking it out. Lows of 80, high of 18. 5 minute pullback after the new high of day is always tough. Already 9 to halt up. Halt is now at 46. Now 53. We do have some bids here high. Very high bids. It's actually going to hold. Most of those shares got filled though. There's a bigger bid this time, but no immediate spike. Bid is gone. Alright, waiting. Is LOBO halted up? Halted down. The 5 minute candlestick is definitely under some stress, but there's 2 minutes. Can we see over 44? $295 is the next target. Lows, 45 right there. We got a red candle on the 5. How about TNMG? How's that one? I definitely want to keep an eye because we've had a lot of pennies go from like 40 cents up to $1. If this one sells off here, dang, I'm in late. And this one does have a spread, so something to be careful of. We'll see if it continues to gain more volume here over time. TNMG. TNMG. So MOGO, I'm waiting here to see how this consolidation. It looks like it's going to go lower. But we're just waiting to see. Maybe it does hold up the low 40s. The Mighty looks like he might be done for the day. The Mighty turning water into wine on this crazy day here. We got lows of 37. I think the stock still looks healthy, but we might need a little bit more of a pullback still. TNMG hitting 62 cents. Still going. Yeah, TNMG I'm going to watch here as this other one is pulling back. Let's see how well we can dip off the highs. There's a spread though. It's like 60 by 62, 61 by 62. If there's a spread here, I'll probably leave it alone. HCWB might halt up again here. Looks like it might halt up again. Time to call Mighty to come back. And look at that push from TNMG. Taking 63. And oh, it's not gonna hold. And I'm missing the dip on MOGO. Well, as we know, opportunity will cost. Always. That is a good dip. It's into our previous area, so it's a little too tough to just put out a limit order. But this is where I start to get interested in MOGO again. Should have been in, but better late than never. So 31 to 49 right there. Will we see an early pullback or will we see more continuation here? 50, definitely going to be a bit of a level to keep an eye on as well. TNMG, huge pullback. All the way to 50 cents. Tight stops here. Damn. There's a big buyer there at 50. Somebody was buying, 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 buying. It's surprising that they're buying that high, you know? Yeah, beam, solid dip, bro. Pastor looking away, missing the dip. We didn't see the early pullback yet. I mean, this could be it here. It's not early though. It's definitely a good 4 minutes later. High 60, low at 50. Let me pull up this thing over here, by the way. I haven't looked in this 10-second chart in a while. There we go. Lows at 49. Taking 37. Tight stops, tight stops. This is the pullback. Okay, that's fine. As now the key is that this doesn't go down more. If this keeps dropping, then it's kind of depsy. But if we can maintain our levels here, then get back over 55 slowly, looking pretty good. The early pullback. Come on, KB. K of the B. And I am out flat. I probably could have held that for 37, but I should have took at least one at 48 for the 7 cents. It's kind of weak though for the early bounce. The first bounce is like right back down. No new low, which is good. At least not yet though. Ideally, we want to see at least over 50 right there. I mean, we got to 46, 47. We should have took at least one off though. There's a new low. And what's it gonna be? Trying to trade again. But we need to see over 50 at least, like for this to be anything. 45. It's an early struggle, early struggle. 43, 45. And again, I'm not taking my 5 cents. Okay, again, I should have took my 5 cents. Alright, okay, HCWB is halted up in other news. I mean, did we have hit? I mean, I guess there's a bit of a seller 55, 45. Didn't seem like much though. It's usually why we just want to, why we just will scalp the 5 cents, 3 cents. Sometimes you don't get even close to the expectation of what you think the bounce will be. Trying to give it a chance to open up for 50, 52, 53, but in the depths. You gotta take the 5 cents. Take the 5 cents. So TNMG red to green over 54. If there's an early pullback here, I'll get involved. This might break down. Higher low would have been better. TNMG 51. I'm gonna miss 51 dip right there. Tight stop, really tight stop. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, HCWB, which is halted up, but we're not that close to the highs. I think it's worth looking at though. There's 43 seconds. With small size, I can keep an eye. We got to get over 1666 for new highs. 1491. It's showing 1580. So it might be at 10 minutes if it wasn't 10-minute already. Okay, 7 seconds for 1491. Here we go. Oh my gosh. Wow, it's just gonna go. Can we get a dip? Can we get a dip? More, 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 more. Dip, 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 dip. Okay, I didn't get to make anything there. Taking 16, tight stop. I'm in on the higher side of the spread. Taking 36. Is it just failing miserably? Yes, it is. It might be. Oh, that is brutal. Bro, what's up with these dip and rips, bro? Okay, okay. Man, these dip and rips have been tough. We're gonna have to change the name to Dip and Depths because what is this? The buying is so delayed, man. It's insane. We're like on a halt resumption here, and it's taking that long to like move. For a halt resumption trade, this is like an eternity to take. Fair entry, long. What will it be? Can we see a continued push over 16? 14, 1620. Come on, can we see 1640? There's 34, there's 40. It is a tough one. If you're using size, you got to be very accurate or be prepared to get blazed. Big levels here. Oh my God, bro. This I sold right before the push. Bro, unacceptable. We're seeing a lot of buying and kind of nothing happening here. So there's some hidden sellers. It's slowly pushing up for $17 stock. Taking this dip. Oh, is there an offering or something? Is that an offering? Like, why? Why? Bro, like when I see something like that, I don't even want to trade this anymore. Like, come on. We're up like less than 1K after all this, man. We're up like 700. Bro. Oh, man, what is this? 1780 to 1480. And I'm buying 1540 thinking, yes, decent dip. 1520, somewhere there. Bro, how did the mighty trade this thing here? Okay, let's see. Granted, I did sell like literally like a second before a $1.40 move, which is kind of brutal. All right, I think it is time to wait for the late movers. The first wave, yeah, I mean, HCWB is still moving, but I'd say the first wave is perhaps coming to an end. So right now it'll be a sprinkle or three, maybe a sprinkle or two or three stocks that will come between now and 4 p.m. So it's time to turn the volume to max on the scanners, turn on the halt scanner alerts as well, and just kind of wait around for something to hit the scans. But I think this is where I'll officially shut it down for YouTube. I mean, I could go another hour just waiting around, but you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll go because I wanted to go to 12 anyways. I'll go another hour. For those of you watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the thumbs up. MOGO moving up a little bit. I don't know. A lot of these stocks just been a little tough today, man. For anybody who might have had ease throughout the open, you did a pretty good job here. It's always good if you can catch a big breakout or two throughout the day. I'll put MOGO up here. So still got to keep an eye out for penny stocks as well. Definitely miles of improvement versus yesterday, coming out guns a blazing, massive size early. If I had did that today, I would have been down like 4K again to start because I got caught in some of the chop. Sometimes it's that simple to avoid a bigger red day, you know. You just if I would have came in yesterday saying, "Hey, despite it being hot, let me take it slow first," and that alone saves you 4K. Yeah, we got 400 people here. Be sure to hit the thumbs up. Shout out to the 1 minute trader who is heading out. Take care, stay safe, stay green, enjoy the rest of your day. Shout out to Tisha as well. I believe I'm following Tisha on Instagram, by the way. Shout out to Tisha, one of the traders here in the YouTube stream, checking in. Haven't checked in on the YouTube stream here all day. Looks like we got a couple of people talking about the moves. John Money would have been proud. So I'm guessing there's been some good call outs. LICN. Let's see here. I haven't looked at that one. How's the volume? Volume is kind of low. So HCWB is, back up again here a little bit. Again, be careful the spreads, the lower volume. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We'll go live every day around 9:15 a.m. trading live, bringing you guys the real raw footage of what it means to be a full-time trader. So far this year, been one of the toughest years for me here in a long time. Let's check the scan here again. BGFV. Yeah, BGFV. The halt is at 87. Okay. All right. 43 to 78. There's a massive drop there. How well can we hold up is the key here. Right at the VWAP. Actually, now zooming out at my 5 minute, this might be cooked. Maybe too much of a dip here below 50. Oh yeah, man. Oh, it's already a Christmas tree. My 1 minute chart sometimes is so zoomed in that the dip actually still looks fine, and but I look down here and zoom out, it's like whoa, whoa, whoa. But ideally, if we break below 50 right here, quick slingshot and back up, but back to at least 60. We're kind of lingering here. So this one's, I guess, what they call the pump and dump. Nothing there, but new lows. The pump and dump. Pump and dump 101. Yeah, so back on the sidelines. Now just up 500 bucks waiting. 471.91 to be exact. Here's the scoreboard. We've had a couple of losing stocks, couple of winning stocks. I don't know how to work Discord. I mean, I can give you guys a quick rundown. It's not too complicated. It definitely if it's your first time using it, it could seem like there's a lot going on. But once you really and truly like check out the tabs, you'll see that it's you know, it's somewhat simple. I like to say that things are only hard when we don't know how to do it, right? That's maybe it might sound a little silly, but to a mechanic, right, changing the brakes on a car is a pretty easy task. For someone else, it might be a little tough to do. But as we familiarize ourselves, it starts to become a little bit more easy. Something to remember is to adjust your share size going from stock to stock. The last thing I want to do is take 5,000 shares on HCWB. That could ruin the day here pretty quickly. I have had instances where we took big size by accident and made money too, but it can go either way depending on how the trade plays out. 1780 for high of day. We're at 1740. Can we see over 80? Not quite. We got up to 67 right there for the breakout trade. There's a spread. $0.45 spread off that dip. Wasn't able to get in on the limit order. Third time's the charm. Few small sellers at 50. Tight stops. We're not slingshotting right away, so waiting. Near 66 by 25, 25 by 40, 40 by 60. Volume's so light for a stock up 200% at high of day, you know? Even though it's 11:30, it's like surprisingly light volume. The halt up is at 1884 for HCWB. $56 by 17. $80 by 99. I'll give it a sec.
I guess we'll have to delay the Discord conversation. Full screen. Let's see, full screen. I'll stop sharing in the chat for just a quick moment here. But for anybody who joins the chat room, when you first come in, this is how it'll look. On the left hand side here is all the different like trading floors, trading room. You have the regular chats, and then there's some MMU chat rooms as well. These are all like different like if you want to think about it as a room. So there's one for swing trading, there's a day trading floor, the alert section where you'll find all the watch lists that that goes back. Profit and loss, you can jump in here at any time to check out to see how some of the traders are doing here in the chat room. You had Mighty that had a massive day, 10k 10k for the Mighty. Marcelo turning water into wine today. You had a couple of the other chat room members posting and stuff. But yeah, the trading floor is usually where like the main call outs and conversations are going beam with a couple of screenshots. So, essentially the YouTube stream, but you can also post screenshots every now and again. We'll also do the voice channels, which is essentially what we're doing right here as well. But this one is more so for just the students. You'll see Tim hanging out in here. Tim, you can say what's up if you if you got your mic. Um, but yeah, we'll sometimes jump into like Gen 1, hang out a little bit, so forth and so forth. Might have been a slow day. Slow day for me. Let's start to share again. Yeah, it's some of these days. I mean, it depends on what you're trading. A stock like HCWB, if you're threading the needle and you have size, there's definitely opportunities for thousands to be made or loss. Hopefully not lost if you're caught on the wrong side of things. But it's been an interesting day here. I thought the momentum a little tough though. So HCWB coming down. It's now 11:25 here Eastern time. The voice channels are pretty good. I think it's a huge part of what the community is like. Um, we definitely were more active in voice channels, uh, in the past, and the culture was, hey, I don't need to be there for people to have conversations, right? So we'd have like three sections of like 20 people each, maybe 30 people each sometimes, and different groups are having different conversations. Yeah, Ross, man, not to be played with in those. I made a video at the team house saying Save is the new best trader in the world. And I don't know if Ross might have saw this video or what, but man, because I was kind of joking around like maybe this guy might be better than Ross Cameron, Tim Sykes. Bro, that next day this guy starts posting massive P&Ls again, like the next day, the very next day. 7 a.m. trading. Without a doubt, we can't argue. There's definitely opportunity at the open. Not at the open. Pre-market, right? Back in the days, like 4 years ago, it was a little bit more tough. But nowadays, it might even. I mean, at this point, it's looking like it might even be better than the open, which is crazy to say. But it's like a shift almost in shifting things. It's just insane to even say that out loud. That like maybe it might be better than the open at this point because for weeks on end, we're seeing stronger moves pre-market, and then at the open, nothing. Stock selling off. Versus back in the days, if a stock was strong in pre-market, it was a good sign for the continuation and bigger move after the open, even if it took a little bit of time to get going. But pre-market, man, can't argue. Can't argue with it. Can't argue with it, man. MOGO. Not much right now. I can give the watch list a full look through here, or let's say all the stocks we traded today, or at least came up at some point. All this trading for 500 bucks. And there's perspective for somebody else out there, they'll gladly take the 500 bucks. And it's better than nothing. It's better than yesterday, that's for sure. Yesterday we were down like 4,000, which is insane. It's like one of my bigger red days. Like I took 10 trades, I'm down 4K, bro. Like that type of stuff makes me want to go crazy, but I understand it's part of the deal. It'll happen from time to time. And so, you can't really allow it to, make you do anything silly. It's always important to have the perspective. Um, despite it being a slower year, how many times have we had a 4K day? Right, dozens of times. So, part of the deal will go through the motion, make the adjustment day over day, and continue to try to improve. And I think that's what it's all about, right? Resumption will be in 7 seconds. There it is. There's the resumption. 200 EMAs at 1925. We got the 1780, something. I do feel pretty good about certain types of trades, like, reviewing and seeing certain types of breakouts. And, you know, when things do align, I think we'll be seeing some pretty solid days here coming soon. Because we will take the size in the key areas. Some of these stocks, man, you get the breakout, $1.50 or more. It's gonna be some monster days coming. Monster days. Maybe AI. Big Bear. You know, the names of the companies are always the funniest things, man. It's hilarious. Big Bear. Big Sporting Goods. CNS Pharmaceuticals. HWC Biologics. Mm. I got this bad habit of like popping off these aligners. And this new set, man, is cooking my teeth here. Yeah, right now it just seems like pretty dead. There's not much hitting the scans. And you know, this is where you got to turn your scanners up high. And if you're like doing something in the background, you kind of just wait for the scans to go off. Yeah, Arfan. Yeah, so initially initially I'd opened up the Discord again and I created a free section, right? A specific place where people who were not paid members could still engage, interact, and also be allowed to see the P&Ls. But when the chat room is open, there's two things. When the chat room is open, a lot of scammers join the chat. As in people who they created a Relentless Trader account, they pretend to be me, and they go down through the list of all the hundreds of members trying to message everyone to basically, you know, be up to no good, right? That's one thing. And then second, the free section that I opened up, I imagine that after like a few weeks, it'll be, you know, pretty crazy. But the traffic was a little slower than I would have expected. And then we also, you know, in our main chat, that's where everyone usually is, especially earlier in the morning. I think because it wasn't merged, we kind of had some, you know, I think a lack of encouragement for people to actually communicate. People like to just see something flowing to then jump in, right? And I wasn't willing to merge that free chat with the paid chat. It's just I don't want that kind of noise, right? Like as in people are too unfiltered. Like I'd rather us just have a more tamed environment. Because back in the days when the entire chat room was free, it was pretty chaotic. It was like the wild west. We had to do so much monitoring and create so many bots, and we you know it's why we ended up getting so strict. Like we just had to start just banning people, like just regardless of like how well we knew them. It's like we just had to start banning people because it's just getting out of hand. People would even start having full on debates, like we're not here to have a debate. We're here to just trade and have call outs. And you know, I mean, you can have conversations, of course, but I mean, it started to get like toxic after a point, and we just had to start saying, okay, that's enough. The YouTube chat, I don't usually look at the YouTube chat at all. Um, because I mean, one, you know, if I'm trading, even the actual chat room is tough to look at that whilst trading. The most I can do is glance over for a call out or two. Like if I'm not seeing the four letter symbols in like capital letters, I'm not really reading the chat because I'm trying to trade, trying to focus on the scans, you know, looking at the level two, the tape. But you know, a time like now, I can like more so look at the chat because nothing's really moving. But NCL, NCL cheaper stock. So we broke out over 63. High of day 75. There could be something here. The halt is at 81. How are the spreads? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Also consider subscribing to the channel. So we got a high of 73 right there. Watching and waiting. Hopefully we get an early pullback before the retested highs. A proper pullback. The spread seems fair so far. It can move quickly though, so definitely want to keep an eye out for that when it comes to the downside. Hold up, hold up, hold up. 6, okay. Okay, okay. Let's see how the early pullback shapes out here. Six eight. Watching. The lows were at 6.3, or let's say the breakout were at 6.3, so 63 cents. I think for the early pullback, the key is always never pulling back to those lows, because then, the dip is just Christmas tree, right? I got small size, so just kind of waiting, watching. I will size up eventually. I wanted to add as the stock would have went lower there, but it didn't. So my position kind of small. But we'll see if it's ready for the highs. If not, we might pull back again. So we'll take the couple of cents and then keep watching here. Well, we definitely want to take on a position of at least like 30,000 if we can. Maybe more. All depending. Taking the dip below the highs. Can we continue? Where's KB? Could have been out of there quicker. It's still here, but what is it going to be? It's going to chop me out is what it's going to do. 76. See, if I had more size, I would have held that entire thing. I'd have at least held some, actually. I would have held some. Maybe a third or half, depending on the position. Man. Not the best fills. And it's coming down. So a bit of a false breakout, I'd say, right there. And the dips right at the highs didn't quite work. Fair. Time. The candle on the 5 is pretty young. It's holding fairly high, all things considered, but good dip. Seven. Okay, let's see how well we can hold. Yeah. I got filled pretty high right there too on that trade. That's cool. The low is not done pulling back. The candle has 2 minutes still on the five. We don't see a curl quickly. It's, perhaps a bit of a prolonged dip. $15 in the current candle on the one. And we're closing at lows, new lows. Pretty high volume in this candle as well. So from 76, we did not hold up 70, nor the break and reclaim of 70. We got lows of 66. VWAP 64, halt down 57. Flush out worth it. The halt down is close. Well, let's see if looks like 61 might have been the bottom. It's just a straight up high of day rejection here. Pretty bullish chart coming up to this level too for the most part. Nice move. We had a lot of consecutive green candles, but right back down. 53 to halt down. All right, this one is officially finished. I would expect the bounce to at least like 62 perhaps, but And there's nothing else hitting the scan, so back on the sidelines again. Back on the sidelines for the next 12 minutes of the stream before I'm officially done with the live stream. What I'll do once I'm done is like I'll have my scanners turned up and we'll see if something comes throughout the rest of the day. Also, the wrestling mats. Yo, there's video of me and Enzo. So one of the students that came on the last trip was showing me some MMA moves. So we have videos of us wrestling with him, myself and Tim. That's pretty good stuff to know though, like that hand-to-hand combat, man. Tim also wrestled in high school, I think, so Enzo got the better of me, but I think the what was the comments? There's like when your when your mentor, I'm forgetting the words, jeez. Anyhows, let's just say it was a good sparring session. The boys getting into MMA. What I do know though is that you never want to get into an altercation. Period. If you can avoid it, that's great. But if you do, and the person seems to know jujutsu, karate, any of that good stuff, best you put your pride to the side, or you're gonna get cooked. Those sweeping leg kicks, man, that alone to the thighs, to the hamstring, to the calf muscles is enough to bring you down. Yeah, I think Mighty has the footage. Garcia today, well, we just gave back a couple $100, but we're flat on the day here pretty much. I thought it was a bit of a tricky day. Much better improvement versus yesterday's, red day where we got smoked in the first 5 minutes. You're telling me that wasn't you on the Discord, or I gave the. So yeah, again, with the chat room, that sounds like a joke because of the laughing face. But be careful on the chat room. Be careful on all social media platforms. The biggest thing is that I will never message someone first, right? It's extremely rare for me to message you, the individual. Usually people will message me and the other mentors with a quick question, something like that, right? Maybe there's a student that needs help figuring out something in their settings, something like that, but we're never messaging people randomly and starting conversations. So it's one of the biggest cues and red flags that someone is a impersonating account. So what they'll do, they'll create an account. Maybe at the end of the name, they'll put two or three R's. They'll steal the profile picture, all that stuff, make it look pretty similar, and then they'll kind of like try to go from there. So, be careful of like the fake accounts, be careful of the scammers, people who are like up to no good. It's kind of like an epidemic, not only in like this financial space, but in other YouTube spaces as well. You'll go on and you'll see all sorts of craziness, man. So watch out for that. So we traded till 12 again, after the $400 loss just now on this one here, and NCL. We're now just up $100, so it's a flat day. Better bring a step ladder. You can see even the chat room is pretty off topic here. It's nothing really moving. Can I show trader view? Yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. It's been a pretty miserable year for me to this point. The one thing I want to make sure that I always am is transparent. So in the good, the bad, the in between, and the even if I'm red every day, the people will be seeing everything. And I can switch my screen share here in the chat as well. Hold up. Let me come over to this other screen. I wish you could. I think you probably could switch screens without ending it. I gotta see if I can do that. I think there's a way to do it. But yeah, here's yesterday. Yesterday was this massive red day. You know, where we got blazed. Look at these two trades right here. 1400 GRYP and then YHC 1400. These two were some of the bigger losses that we had. Just a tough day yesterday. So far, it's been a pretty slow year for me. Honestly, January wasn't like the best month because we did have some hotter momentum and we had a lot of trouble capitalizing. Good week 2, but you know, pretty slow after that for the most part. February February was not a great month either. As you can see, a lot more red days. And then what really helped us out was this bigger green day that we had on Monday the 24th, where we put some size behind a trade. But you know, as you can see here, it's like a bit of a slower pace compared to the norm. Even this week right here, pretty tough week. Only one good green day, but then red the other 4 days. March, my first red month in 2 years time, I think. In 2 years or maybe 3 years. We were red in 2022 in February. So I think like 2 years, 3 years. The first 2 weeks pretty slow. We had the team house this week here. I think week 3 was the team house, and or it might have been week 2. I can't remember exactly. My memory's a little off, but one of these weeks were the team house week, and it might have been this week. It might have been week. I think it might have been week 3 of this. It kind of has it a little weird because we had one day, but technically week 2 of the month. Coming back from the team house, you know, a bit of a slower week, and then the last week we tried out uh, some longer holds with limit orders. It didn't really go according to plan, and we ended red. This was not good. I'm always optimistic because I understand the market is not seasonal. Like we can have some slower months now and then, you know, in just like a honestly even just one day sometimes. Not that we're searching for like a home run or anything, but sometimes, you know, things can be pretty hot and before you know it, you get a pretty hot day, a hot week, a hot month, and that month alone is the equivalent of an entire year. You know, that's kind of what this field is at times. But I still think the biggest key is day over day consistency, right? So here's last month. You know, pretty slow week 1, pretty slow week 3, week 4, kind of tough week here. You know, starting off with a bigger red day on Mondays, never really a good thing because you always want to come in and have a bit of a tone setter for the month. But you know, and similar to this week here, where we came in and this was our Monday, which was not ideal. This day here, we got obliterated. Like the red days, it's like I come in and I take like 2 or 3 trades and then boom, just destroyed. So you can see the day started off fairly good, and I was up 1400 ASST. You know, some decent $300, $600, $100. Anytime I'm up like 1500, the day already looks pretty good, and then you know, disaster is gonna strike here at 9.55. We did give back a little bit with some chop. You can see a bigger loss here on the same stock. And then coming down to 9.55 is where we're going to really take a massive loss somewhere. Let's see. Okay, right here. Well, 10 a.m. 10 a.m. GPUS 588, 400, 400. This right here is a pretty big killer, and then this is on so two different stocks, VEE, and then a bit of a red streak here of 600. If you're red consecutively and it's like small scratch trades, it's no problem. But then once you start hitting like $500 loss in there, it adds up pretty quickly. 200, 200. And you can see right here the accuracy on the ASST later in the day, just not there. Just not there at all. So these are more fine. But 300 here, 148, and we kind of ended the day there. And at that point, you're already down after those losses. With size, when you're using size, it can happen very quickly. Like just a downtrend here, which is just brutal. You know, Usually if you there's rules you can have to protect yourself, of course, right? Like, hey, if I go back to flat, you could walk away, you could size down drastically. ASST had such a strong start, we did pretty well. And okay, we're back to flat, but we're thinking there's still some day left, right? It's 10 a.m. Okay, I'm still gonna look to be on the offensive, try to get the change in trend, come back to the upside, and then it's just loss, then a loss, then a loss, then a loss, then a loss. So in comparison, right? Like for the people, let's hold on. Let's look at the detail here first. Let's see reports. No, detail first, and then okay, yeah, here we go, perfect. So for the people hear me saying it's like a slower start to the year, right? At this point last year, we can do the comparison. I think I'm up like maybe closer to 200K already, or somewhere in that ballpark, 150 somewhere there. So we're averaging 568 a day, which is like way below our average. This is like half of what we would average normally. And again, just the accuracy a little lower as well. Not ideal. We do have the biggest winner, which is good. Biggest loss still kind of high, but here's the biggest craziest stat of the year. So far this year, throughout all the chop, we've made 600,000 and lost 550,000. Way too much losses, way too much, I think just the accuracy as well. Way too inaccurate. The pullbacks are killing us, which is why today we really try to be a little bit more careful, stay away from a lot of them. Trading the dips is a part of how we trade, but the yesterday was a good example where the backside just, man, just murdered us. But typically I'd retain between 25 and 35% of my gains, which is, it's kind of low still, pretty low. But 10% or even less than 10% at this point is, you know, pretty horrific for me. And you can see the equity curve here, like a lot of drawdowns around 3K, 2K, 4K. The cumulative P&L not looking the best there. So if we compare this versus last year, you'll see like the huge difference to this point of the year. But again, I'm not tripping over it. Like we're doing pretty good. We got our swings going as well. But definitely, I think continuing to doubling down on all the things that we've been doing to this point to get us here. So the continuous review sessions, the studying with the peers, like some of the team house guys, reviewing trades, and showing up and making day-to-day adjustments. Whilst today is not like a massive green day, it's a good improvement versus yesterday and the massive drawdown that we had. So this for me, it's pretty tough, but it's where we are, and we look forward to getting better. So let's say last year, and we will edit the end date here actually from December to, was it May 13th? May, okay, I see. January 1, May 13th. So in comparison, this is last year's, yeah, somewhere in the ballpark of like 150. So yeah, this is like last year's gains to this point. So we're like way behind. And again, so in terms of the retention of the gains, you'll see it's never been great. It's never been great, but we still retained much more than we did this year. And this year we've actually made slightly more to this point, right? In terms of total winners, total losses, and that balance that's left over. But what this tells you though is that a lot of money passes through our accounts, like compared to like the normal 9 to 5, where maybe if the person like got paid 50K to this point on the like this is a different story. Like this is way different story, different field. It's a different business, and yeah, so definitely a little behind pace, but again, I know what 1 month, 2 months, 3 months can do of real solid trading. So it's a matter of just making the adjustments and coming back to the winning side of things. Last year we also had a great February month, which was like pretty powerful for 2024. More consistency day over day, even going back to like January. It's interesting though. I mean, I've always had some bigger red days, even in a month like February, the $3,500 red day there. But some of the stuff that I'm like, as I trade today, it's like some of the stuff that I'm witnessing is like, it's beyond, it's like laughable almost, like just unbelievable. But we're still beyond that. We're still making, mistakes in key areas, which is pretty big, right? March, we had a 3 day red streak here, but smaller red for the most part. Versus, you'll see like in some of the days today, we'll have like a bigger red day that kind of like, makes us a struggle on the week a little bit, right? So, in May of last year, I think we had, I don't know if it was this year, we had the banking crisis, or was it just like a slower? I think banking crisis might have been 2023, and that might have been April of 2020. But anyhow, this month we started off kind of tough, but we did finish green, I think, if we're to extend this to, let's just clear this entire thing. And 2024, yeah, May 2024, we had that tough start. But you know what? We had a massive swing in momentum. I think it was on the 16th. So for me, being red 3 days in a row, the goal was like to just get back to green, log out, take the money. And I think this Thursday was like one of those penny stocks came. FFIE, yeah. FFIE on this day, man, ended up. I think this thing ended up doing something crazy. Yeah, it started off at 83 cents and went all the way to 236. And you can see it continued the next day up to 390. This day, it just sucked that this is what it was, right? I was on a 3 day red streak. Hey, get green, try to get out. The stock, if you guys look here, we had a nice move and then a hard rejection down. And I think somewhere around here is where I might have left out, right? Thinking, hey, okay, we kind of had a push. This thing failed miserably. And then I came back and saw this at the end of the day. And this like awakened penny stocks for like a few weeks. And I didn't get involved for like 2 weeks of it. Kind of still trading higher price stuff, but this was like better price action, better momentum. And we kind of then got things going. So, this year so far a little slower, but still looking forward to the opportunities. Our biggest green day has been like 26,000 on like a $15-14 stock, and we had small size relatively speaking. I think like 2K biggest size, stuff like that. So we're definitely looking forward to the opportunities us to come here throughout the rest of the year. I think we'll definitely see some bigger green days as well, but the day over day progression I think is the biggest key. So, for anybody who's watching on who might be struggling, this is me trading after 5 years, after making, hundreds of thousands of dollars in a year before. You can still have issues. So you got to make sure to not ever get complacent, which I think I also fell victim to at one point. It's like there were months on end where like before you even wake up, like you just know, like it's just nothing but a big green day coming. You're in such a good flow, good rhythm, and but before you know it, you stop studying, right? You stop reviewing as much. Your study sessions aren't as long as they usually would be, and it's how you can start missing things, especially when the market some gives that shift, right? It and something to be careful of is having any sort of like doubt or fear if you're going through like a losing streak. Like you have to make sure that you're mentally you don't get discouraged to, and then start hesitating and second guessing trades. That can lead to a lot of like fumbling of opportunities in key areas. So, here I am close to 600,000, $700,000 in gains, and I'm having like a rough start to a year, right? There are, and again, when you're going through these hotter markets, these hotter periods, I'm gonna make more like something I've been thinking about doing. Like I've been having a hard time to produce certain types of content, but something that I want to do is to like be more open mentally of like the swings that you'll go through, right? Because it gets pretty crazy at times. Like I mean, when you're going through these hotter months, you can start to feel. I don't want this to sound crazy, but you can start to feel like you can start to feel like some sort of. I don't want to use the word God because that's like a little too aggressive. The word God is I think too aggressive, but you can start to feel what word should I put behind this? I don't know if it's really arrogance. I don't think that's the right word either. I don't think it's like cocky. I don't think those are the because you're not necessarily thinking that you're better than anybody in a sense, but you can feel somewhat untouchable. Like you can't be seen, you can't be touched. Like you're absolutely just murdering the markets, right? I mean the highs are so high, and the lows can be so low, right? Like the peaks and the valleys. November 2024, you got a week. You start off the week 17K in the green, 10K the next day, 4K, 4K, 8K. In a monster week, you're feeling pretty good. But then, you can feel pretty bad too mentally. So I think having what's really helped me out is having that grand perspective of understanding and knowing where we started, what we've been able to accomplish, where we're heading. And even before I even had any track record or any green days, I think deep down you have to have the confidence and the belief that you can do it. Because even now, right? Even now, what my performance is telling me is that there's something wrong with me and not the market. Like it's never the market's fault, really, right? There's mistakes that when I'm studying, I'm noticing, I'm seeing, and things that we're trying to make adjustments on, right? And so it's never the market per se, but more so how can you improve and be a better version of yourself, which is why ultimately I'll feel confident because it's the old fashioned saying, right? If not me, who? And if not now, when? And so that's what encourages me to study even more. This weekend was a good study session despite having a bit of a tough Monday, but you got to deep down know that you are capable and that you can do it. Because if not you, who's it going to be, right? Are you going to throw the keys or the torch to someone else? It's not the kind of field where, it's like a physical sport where, we have to retire after a certain age or something, right? This is all mental. And so can you continue to be a better version of yourself? Right? Can you continue to improve? And so uh if 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 mentally I had doubts that I could be better and that I could improve, then I'd be in trouble. Like if I ever have the thought that me, for the person who I am and that I know myself to be, if I ever feel as if I cannot improve, I cannot be better, that's where I've lost the battle as a trader. Like you're gonna be lost, right? You're just gonna be in your own mind. It's gonna be trading is gonna eat away at your psyche at that point mentally. But if you know deep down, like yeah, like I think no matter how bad a red day is, like how tough a red period could be, like like deep down, like I just know, like yeah, like it's only a matter of time, bro, before our studying and our relentless pursuit of greatness pays off, you know? Because there is no wall too tall, there's no mountain too high. And so if you ever tell yourself that there's nothing you can do, then there's nothing you could do. But if you know you can make a change, make improvements, then that's all you need to know. And that's all you need to have to be endlessly motivated towards betterment. So if you're a struggling trader, deep down ask yourself, who are you? Who am I? And what you're willing to do, the lengths you're willing to go to get to the other side, to get out of a drawdown, to get out of a slow patch, right? I mean, I haven't really lost money. I haven't really lost money in comparison to what I've made before. April, like a slower green month. Even now, I guess after yesterday, we're in a bit of a small drawdown again. But those are the questions, right? Like, have you always been a winner in your life? Even if you might have been in school, whatever it might be, right? Sports, it could be academic stuff, right? Um, in the workplace environment, you see these TV shows and these movies where they say, look to your left, look to your right, only one person will make it, and immediately you know that you'll be that person that makes it, you know. So we have to have a confidence about ourselves, and that will give us the motivation to always buckle down throughout the tougher periods, study more, do more study sessions with the team, review sessions, even going back through some of the chapters, right? Refreshing your memory. It's always good to go back over months and see how things were a little different and see what you were doing well then that you can then perhaps bring back into your trading now. Because again, sometimes we can get a little complacent, right? And even when you get punched in the mouth again, like I did yesterday. No, 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 Siri, I'm not talking to you. So yeah, even on a day like yesterday where I came in so imagine you study up the entire weekend. You put in your rounds, you put in your hours, you feel good, and then the market uppercuts you the first 5 minutes into the open. So for me, I sometimes it is a little funny, and it's like in my mind it's like, yo, this is unbelievable. But you also know that this is part of the deal, as in the sometimes it can be a little chaotic, and through all the chaotic, if you want to say bad luck or whatever, throughout all these things, the series of stocks that came and how aggressive they were on the backside, you got murdered. But it's part of the deal. That has nothing to do with all the hard work you put in studying, right? It's just a matter of coming back, making adjustments. And there were some things that we did differently yesterday because we thought it was going to be a very hot day from the start to finish. The overall market is up aggressively. So, people's portfolios are looking good, right? And seeing SPY up so much, knowing we're holding pretty low, and seeing that that's trickled down to the small caps with KDLY and a stock, going from $5 to $35 pre-market. Historically, typically, that would tell us that into the open it'll be pretty hot. We'll see stocks halting up and surging up. And so said, we did have a stock halted up, right? And I'm like, okay, right to a big size, right to aggressiveness. The first dip and rip takes me into a halt down, resumes 20 cents lower, 9,000 shares. This is the first loss we had right here. And it's like, man, are you kidding me here? Historically, typically, this is what's gotten us to where we are, right? So on when it doesn't, and this is the kind of like the false breakout here before the continued push. Am I in single screen? Okay, good. Yeah, we had this false breakout here, essentially. So I'm looking for the opening rip through the pre-market highs, the opening surge trade. And out of the resumption, I'm looking for the quick dip and then continued high. Instead, I'm caught in the halt down. It resumes significantly lower. I then take the loss. And I think, there's multiple stocks moving. We then try checking out another stock. And, you kind of come back to it. You're a little out of sync. We halt up, we resume lower again. It halted up again. A lot of halts in this one, but the stock we did switch to, we end up getting blazed there on the backside. And you kind of have to sum up the days. The day is one of those type of days where you kind of just, got brutalized. So even when you're studying and you have a tough day, we've had tough days before. Don't allow the timing of the tough day to derail your confidence, to derail you from knowing that you can, do pretty well in this market, right? Something I've noticed too is that I haven't been as scalpy, and sometimes this can lead to me missing certain trades. So I think in terms of, let's just look at the trade total here. I think was a little lower here throughout the year. So if we look at January versus a month like March, you can see a lot of days where we're like below 100 trades, right? Versus typically 125 trade, I'd say on average. So we haven't been as scalpy, which is something we've noticed, and maybe we do want to start firing off on a few more trades, right? 120 trades, somewhere around there is where we usually will end up. Days like this, and sometimes you can tell if it's like a pretty big red day quickly. You kind of come in, you kind of just got, punched in the face. You gotta sometimes take it easy. So this has been May month. Not the best start to the month here with these two red days, but looking to improve. Looking to improve, looking to be better. And, in terms of a more grand perspective, like we're in such, like I don't feel any pressure, right? Like to come here in front of hundreds of people and show this, like to me this means nothing, right? Like LICN in terms of like pressure to perform. Like you know how some people will go to lengths to like hide their days or hide their weeks or not show a red month or a red day. Like to me that type of stuff is like pretty silly. Like we're in a field where first there's 9 out of 10 people who are not doing well, right? There's 9 out of 10 people who are not doing well, and not only that, we're in a place where we've put in the work, we've been grinding. Transparency has been like one of our biggest things. It's like, bro, like the day I stop, I don't care if I'm red every day for 5 months. Like the day that I stop showing my screen like this, like how I share my screen, like that's the day that I die or something, because there's no way I could see myself not doing it. Like what would I have to be to like to not share like a red day or red month? Like come on, bro. Like that's silly stuff right there. Like you has have the as the person. And I know I'm like talking so fast. It's like I'm not talking so. I need to calm down here. You as the trader first need to be proud of who you are, proud of your progress, proud of the work you're putting in, and confident in yourself. if you're thinking about YouTube or sharing to the world, you're not going to be able to share to the world if you're not confident in your own shoes. You know, it doesn't matter if anybody try to say anything, like that stuff could mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody in the chat could say, "Relentless, what the hell are you doing right now? Like, you're the worst trader in the world," or how did you end red 4K? Something like that. Bro, that stuff means nothing. You have to already know who you are, right? And again, deep down, if you're that winning mindset, it's only a formality and a matter of time before the winning is back. You have to will your way to greatness. We haven't imported for today. It's a flat day. Here's the list of stocks we traded. Flat day. Small green, flat. Yeah, so, that confidence is key. Confidence is key. So far, it's been a interesting start to the year here. And the all-time stats, you guys can always check that out as well. I gotta upload to Discord the backstory and upload some of those update rather some of those pages in there. But yeah, a good, let's see, is it overview reports? This is a good depiction of like the journey and the progress so far. So this has been this year here, 2025. It's crazy because just a couple of years ago, it's like this is exactly, and this is at the end of the year. At the end of the year 2022, we finished at 58, and here we are struggling in a year, and we're basically over 58. It's like despite having a tough start, that in itself shows some progress there, right? So these are things that you also can like notice in your metrics over time, right? Ay ay ay. Our trade count is slightly behind last year's pace again, so I think taking more trades will be a part of the adjustment as we go. But yeah, I think it's a good place to shut it down, lock it in, and keep the scans turned on in case we do see a late afternoon stock. A late afternoon stock. So, in summary, keep your heads high, stay focused, stay locked in, keep studying, keep reviewing, keep doing all the things that made you great in the first place, right? I'd say not to, shy away from like the chat rooms. Like some people, when they have a hard time, they'll kind of like leave the chat room for weeks on end. When you're struggling, it's not a time to, do those type of things, in my opinion, but instead to embrace the community and, reach out for help because a lot of people are willing to do study sessions and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. But yeah, take care, stay safe, stay green. We are shutting it down. Catch you guys in the next one. Hit the thumbs up. Tomorrow again, 9:15 a.m. Stay safe, stay green.